So I'm in my car now. We're recording like this. I have one more driving lesson on motorcycle on the road, which is fine. I'm not gonna be recording this time because I don't think my setup is all that good at the moment. The camera is very low, and when I drive on the highway, which I have to do today, and especially when it's at night, I mean, I'm not gonna be speaking much. It's gonna be super annoying with the camera here. When I have to look over my shoulder, it just pulls my my helmet. The problem is when you go to a driving school and you take lessons and you have to, and you have to do everything right. There's some rules you have to follow. Because me, when I go on the highway, it's enough for me to check over my shoulder once, just quickly. I'll know what's gonna happen in the next 10 or 20 seconds or so, which is completely not all right when you're going for the driving exam, because then you have to check your shoulder hundreds and hundreds of times. You have to check your shoulder all the time, because if you don't do that, you fail, because you don't show the driving instructor that you know what you're doing. And for that reason, it's also why I'm so distracted when I'm out driving on the motorcycle, because there's so many rules you have to follow that no one does really when they're driving normally on the road. I mean, you don't check your shoulders 18 times when taking a right turn. You check your mirrors while going up there. There's nothing there. Maybe you do a quick shoulder check, and there's nothing there. You confirm it and then you move. Especially on the highway, shoulder check, that's fine. But when I have to, follow the road like that, if the road moves or it widens or tightens or whatever, I have to check my shoulders every single time. Also, when there's a merge, I have to check my shoulders no matter what. Even if I change the lane before the merge happens, which you do sometimes to get into the better lane, I have to check my shoulder twice then, because left, because I have to turn left, and then right, because the merge is on the right, even though I know there's no car there, I was just there. So there's a lot to think about. That isn't my main issue. That just causes me to have to focus a lot. My main issue is actually, what is it called? When you have to, when you go through small areas. Maybe in some countries this is more common than in Denmark, because it's pretty rare to see in Denmark, I would say. But in small, like build-up areas, like small towns where there's a lot of houses and like 30 kilometers an hour zones, such like that. You have these intersections where there's no right-of-way, designated right-of-way. And in those zones, I guess this is the same for most countries, you have to keep back from the person coming from the right. Which is fine. I always respect that, and even though there's a very few of those, there's like 2 or 3 where I live, I always respect that and follow the rules, do as I'm supposed to. The problem is when you're on a motorcycle, every single time you see one, you have to touch the brake, look, and then drive when you have proven that you've seen there's nothing there. That's fine. I get that. The problem is some of those, some of those intersections are so well hidden and so disguised, you just don't notice them, because there might be like 10 intersections where the people from either side have to give away, or I have to give right of way, or whatever it's called. But then there's like that one intersection hidden behind a corner, where you're actually not supposed to be able to drive down from that side, and then you have to give way to the right. You have to show you give way to the right, and it's just, and that's the shit I'm gonna fail on, because if you miss one of those, you fail the driving exam. And then there's all the other small mistakes you can make, which gives you takes a point off, if that makes sense. And that could be anything from, like, if you go down on the highway, some do this, they're very, very hard on this. If you go down on the highway and it's 110 kilometers an hour zone, and you have to go off to you have to leave at the next exit, and there's lorries in front of you, you will have to prove to the driving instructor that you can go the speed limit. You can't just sit doing 80 or 90 behind the trucks, the lorries, you have to overtake them and do the speed limit actually a little bit above, if you have to, and then still make the exit. Because if you miss that exit, there's a high possibility that you fail your exam. And stuff like that. It's very, very high, you know, there's a lot of things I have to change, because if I go down the highway, I know I have to take the first exit, the next one, and there's like 2 lorries in front of me. I'm not gonna overtake them, I'm just gonna stay there. Even though I'm doing 80, I mean, I'm never late to anything. I'm never in a hurry. I can just sit behind those lorries, keep proper distance, just chilling, doing my stuff. Yeah, but here you have to do the speed limit. So if there's 2 or 3 lorries in front of you and you have to take an exit in 2 kilometers, you have to overtake those. And there's so many rules like that, that's so difficult. And then there's another thing I struggle a lot with, and that's the small U-turns. The U-turns, I think I will become better at it, because my problem with U-turn is I think I'm going too slow and I'm trying to lean the motorcycle. What I should do is just go a little bit faster. I mean, just, you know, at the clutch point, what is it called? When you release the clutch, like 12 kilometers an hour or something like that. And then just lean the motorcycle and just do as I did when I did figure of eights. Of course I didn't record that, but I did figure of eights and just riding on the clutch, and I did perfect U-turns all the time. So I should probably do that. The issue is that there is like this exercise you have to do before you drive on the road. There's like 5 exercises you have to do before you drive on the road in a closed area. It's like, yeah, first you have to walk with the motorcycle, and then there's some like avoiding thing and emergency braking and keeping a constant speed in a corner. All those things fine. But then there's one where you have to do like slalom. What is it called? You have to zigzag through cones doing like 5 kilometers an hour. Where you have to ride the clutch and like use the rear brake to adjust your speed, which is completely against anything I've ever done before. It's like so not what I'm used to. So I don't really like doing that. I'm not good at it. I can say I can fail that one and still pass, but if I fail that one and make a mistake on the road, I'm pretty much done. So there's some things I'm a bit nervous about, and as I said, this is the last time I have to drive on the road, so I feel a little bit behind on those things, I'm gonna be honest. And the problem is, okay, those right-of-ways where you have to, you know, give right-of-way to the person on your right, I'm normally really good at spotting those and doing what I'm supposed to. But when I'm driving a motorcycle, I'm so focused on so many other things and listening to what the driving instructor is saying in my ears, I just miss it completely. And there's like, of course, if there was a car there or something there, I would have noticed immediately. I'm not gonna just blow through that shit. I'm gonna go there, I'm gonna see there's an intersection, I'm gonna see there's nothing there at all, and I'm just gonna drive. And I just do that completely on instinct. Wow, that was a great overtake. I'm just gonna do that on complete instinct. And I'm gonna fail my driving test. I can just feel it, that's what's gonna happen. And that's like, even if I even get to the road part, I mean, yeah, it's... So I'm a bit nervous at those things, because I know I'm a little bit behind. I know I'm not really there yet, which is, yeah, that's annoying. And I gotta admit it, I'm pretty good at driving the motorcycle. I'm pretty good at following the rules in general, but all those things you have to do, and it's just like, it's not natural, so therefore I'm just like, I'm not good at it. But either way, there's a police motorcycle over there and a Porsche 911 over here, which just crossed the stop line, which means he technically ran a red. Let's see what's gonna happen. Now he's going very slowly. Oh yeah. Well, other than that, I am relatively confident. I must say, I am enjoying it, and I will take that hit. If I fail the first driving test, I'll take the hit. It's fine. I know when I get on the road, I know I can actually drive. I mean, I'm confident that I know what I'm doing. It's just that there's that little bit missing from the practical shit, you know? Is that what it's called? I don't know. I really hope I can pass in time to get to Norway. And then there comes the next issue. I've been talking about really wanting to get a Honda Transalp or a Africa Twin. Either a Transalp 600 or an Africa Twin 750, the one from the 90s. Those are just so nice bikes. The Africa Twin is a bit too expensive for me, I'm gonna be honest. But I did see one get posted the other day, which was in my price range, which I liked to see, and that's what got me on to the Africa Twin to begin with. But the Africa Twin is gonna be a bit optimistic for me. It's a bit too expensive, to be honest, but that's fine. The Transalp will do just fine. But the issue is that I've seen like, I think 800 or 900 Transalps, the one I wanted, go for sale, 600s. 2 were the 97 year model with the 2 front brakes, which is, I think, the one I want the most. The second one I want is the, what do you call, the pre-facelift one, if you would call it that, the old one with the square headlight. And then the rest is just like colors, which colors I want and stuff like that. And I have seen some come which just look great, and they were just so beautiful. Like a really pretty blue one and a red one, and that sand beige silver one. I really like them, and they all gone. So I'm just sitting here in sadness. And now what's all for sale is like one that's hilariously expensive, but also in like amazing condition. It's like as new, and it's got that classic white color with the blue and red stripes. It's really nice, but it is also hilariously expensive. It's like twice the price of all the other ones I've seen. At that point, I'm getting an Africa Twin, but I'm not going to that price range. And what I'm talking about is the ones I'm looking at is like, I think like 4,500 euros. That's just like quick maths in my head. And the Transalp I saw, the really expensive one, was like 8,000 euros, like something like that, 8 or 9. And that's about where the Africa Twins are. I saw an Africa Twin for 5,000 euros, which is like, that's about my max. And those bikes are just, I don't know, it's just what I'm looking for, to be honest. It's just what I want, it's something like that. And I really want a Honda. I've always really been a Honda motorcycle fan. It's not the noisiest, it's not the fastest, it's not anything like that, but I think they're like the best looking bikes, because it's not all about just looking crazy and exotic and stuff like that. I like that subtleness of them. But they also have like, if you know what you're looking at, like if you know what you're doing, if you know what you're looking at, they just nail everything. I think they just, like, if you take the Transalp, I just think that like, it's like really beautifully proportioned. It's nothing weird shapes like a oddly big tank, fuel tank, or it's like stuff like that, which the Africa Twin has, but it makes up for it for being tall. I think. It's just like everything just looks like, yeah, it's perfect proportions. And then you have that amazing exhaust. I just love that. That's what I fell in love with instantly on that bike, that exhaust. And then you can kind of like see, I don't know if this makes sense, because this is just something I like to look at. I've always wanted a dirt bike, but you can't really have a dirt bike in Denmark. I was like, stuff that's close. But I always wanted a dirt bike look, and you can kind of like see the dirt bike beneath the skin in a way, which I like. So I know it's the DNA or whatever. This probably, to anybody who's like a real motorcycle fan, you should probably say I'm delusional or something. But it just got that like dirt bike DNA, the dual sport DNA or whatever. But it still is definitely a adventure bike, which I just mean, for me that's exactly what I'm looking for. So yeah, well, that's it for today. For now, I'll return after the drive and I'll tell you how it went. It probably went okay. Now I'm in the dark. Well, see ya. Well, that was a drive. It was something. I do look exactly as terrible as I feel, so at least it matches up. I'm pretty tired. So that was a hard drive. Just gonna get out of here, tell you all about it. Okay. So we went on the highway today, quite a lot actually. We drove on the highway for 40 minutes, I think, in all. And that's a lot when you're not used to it. And as you've seen in the videos, it's naked bikes. So there's no windscreen, there's no nothing, and you just feel the buffeting. And it's quite violent right now because it's really windy. And when you're not used to those speeds, it's really terrifying. But it's fun, don't get me wrong. I mean, like, it's kind of part of it. When something is a little bit terrifying, yeah, it's usually a lot of fun. There's been a lot of police activity. We got overtaken by 3 or 4 police cars on our way, an ambulance and stuff like that. It's usually not a good sign in Denmark. I mean, usually there's like 1 police car, 1 ambulance, maybe 2 police cars, but when it comes to a certain number, there's like, it begins becoming a bit more worrisome. Whatever, it doesn't matter. It's nothing to do with what I have to talk about. Okay, so well, the drive went really well. It was a lot of fun, very hard. The highway was tough. It was rough with the wind. It was pretty crazy. A little bit scary, I'm gonna be honest with you. And but as I said, a lot of fun. Something, you know, on motorcycle mostly. If it's a little bit scary, it's usually also a little bit very fun. I mean, that is just what it is. That is just how it is usually. But I mean, that doesn't mean you have to be, you know, it doesn't mean it has to be dangerous, but you know what I mean. It's fun. We trained a few. We trained driving through corners, stuff like that, which is hard because it goes pretty slowly, so it doesn't really feel like anything. Yeah, it's fun. It's fine. It's fine. The most important bit though is that when I sat here in the car earlier, I said I was very uncomfortable with the U-turns and slow driving, and I feel a lot more comfortable now because we did train it for like 5 minutes, and that was enough. 5 minutes, that was enough. I figured it out. I went a lot faster than I usually do. I learned what I did wrong. What I did wrong was I did the 2 things you're not supposed to when you go slow. I was leaning the motorcycle too much, and I was not turning enough, and that's just stupid. So what I was pretty much doing was just laying the motorcycle down, and there was no reason to. So at the slow speed, it's doable. I learned that, but I find it personally very hard. So I just went a lot faster. So instead of the 5 kilometers an hour I was trying to do it before, now I just do like 10 or 11. And then if it goes a little bit too fast, I just step the brake, rear brake a little bit, just a little bit, and then I tighten the corner up. And I did since when I began doing that, I did every U-turn perfectly. So I'm comfortable with the U-turns now, which is great news. I will be able to train them a bit more further down the road, because there's one more maneuvering course which I'm very excited to film, because it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to bring a power bank with me, so I'm sure that there's enough charge on the camera. I will be working on a different way to mount the camera, because it's way too low all the time, which is super annoying and ruins the film every single time. So I'm trying to figure out some things with that. So I have to mount it low. It's the straps, they mount low, and then the camera, it just sits like this and points straight down. It has to point a little bit upwards, I've noticed. So a few more, perhaps a few more hinges, and then I'll be there. But I'll figure it out. It doesn't really matter that much. And then yeah, I get the license. Maybe I will already be able to get the license in 2 weeks. That's wishful thinking though. It's probably gonna be a month, which is kind of sucks, but it is what it is. It's fine. So the only real worry I have now is the 5 kilometers an hour stuff, which I was worried about before, because I haven't trained that. I will only get one more chance to train that. And if I don't fix my slow speed driving before the driving school, that's just one very big downside, like very big negative on my yeah, I'm not pleased. And the thing is, I can't go too fast, I can't be too brash with that, because if I turn over a cone, if I knock over a cone, I'm most definitely gonna fail. So if I put a leg down or two, it's a mistake, and it does count towards something. But if I turn over a cone, I'm probably not gonna pass. So, and as I said, maybe a driving test in 2 weeks, maybe a month. And then the next thing is, when I do get my driving license, what bike will I buy? That is the question. If you have any suggestion of a bike, anything, I mean, I will take it, because I mean, I am at the Transalp Africa Twin vibe. I'm also at that price range, like Transalp 600, Africa Twin 750 XRV, the old one from the 90s. I don't know what specifically to call it, but I am in that price range from, like, I think at most, quick math, like 5,000 euros. I don't know what that is in dollars. $5,500, $6,000. That price range for an adventure bike or dual sport, whatever it is. In Denmark, there is a limited amount of motorcycle I can buy in that price range, and the prices are most likely not going to be the same from other European countries. Like in Germany, you might be able to get a Africa Twin for 3 grand. I don't fucking know. I don't even want to look. I just get sad every time I do, because everything is just so much more expensive in Denmark. So I'll just take whatever. If anybody has suggestions for very good adventure dual sport bike in that price range, preferably an older one, I'd like to hear it. I have been looking at, I'm just not sure, because I think it's too slow, a V-Strom 250, because I do like that bike. It is a very cool bike, and it's modern, which is kind of a bonus in some regards, but also a negative in others. I do like old bikes. Well, either way, I'm gonna leave it at that. I think I'm very interested to see what will happen. Thank you. There's a lot of police activity this night. Is it some special event I don't know about? Maybe. If I get pulled over, I'm gonna use that as a thumbnail. I mean, there's a very big possibility. Oh wait, I was gonna say there's a big possibility that I get pulled over, and that's because I say that because I'm very used to driving my old cars. Usually I drive really old cars. Not really old, like 80s cars. Just like, yeah, that's just what I buy usually. And the thing is, when there's a lot of police activity, that is the car that attracts attention because it stands out. So, and also usually they're a bit loud, and there's definitely something wrong with them. They never work properly. So I get pulled over. I mean, I get a lot of police attention anyways. So I am used to having a police car driving behind me. But I drive a very inconspicuous car right now. I drive a Honda Insight. which is about the lamest car that's ever been built. It's pretty much the definition of car. So, oh, that might be a Yaris actually. Toyota Yaris is car. This is hybrid car. And it's shaped like an egg. I do call it the egg because it also kind of has the color of an egg. It used to be white, but now it's kind of like dirty and faded a little bit. So now it's like egg white. It does do 5, what is it? I always forget what it is. 5 liters per 100 kilometers. I think that's what it did. Or was it 4.6? It was at least like 22 kilometers per liter from here to Stockholm, which is Copenhagen to Stockholm. So when you're a student, that's very good. I'm selling the car anyway. But I'm selling the car soon, because now I get a motorcycle, don't need this. Motorcycles do the same MPG as this does, something like that. But it's a lot more fun, and does not look like an egg. Well, most of them don't look like eggs. There's probably a few ones that does. Maybe a Honda Goldwing. They are like mildly egg-shaped. The fuck am I talking about? Anyways.